Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday night here at Mixed Energy Formula Online Racing for what I'm sure will be some more fascinating Formula 2 action, this time around the Autodromo Nazionale Monza for the Italian round of F2 action. Only two more circuits to visit after this, Russia and Abu Dhabi. I'm sure it's going to get very interesting indeed in the championship. I'm Luke Etheridge and I'll be bringing you all the action from tonight's race and others. We're now seeing some of the cars heading out on their outlap. Hopefully we'll be able to hear some of the cars heading out a bit louder than they are at the moment. There we go. Andenge seen at the moment in the Trident. Things getting really close at the top of the standings. He was leading going into the last round of action in Belgium. If you weren't with us then, Lee Findlay took pole position and the win in torrential rain there, and it's looking very overcast at the moment around this Monza circuit. I must away with Josh getting another victory in the sprint race. Well, all that means is Lee Findlay, who will not be racing tonight, I believe, though he has joined the session, so you never know if he might be able to pop along for the race, but if so, he will be starting from 14th position. He is on 128 points. We've got Flip Flop Fish a further 10 points behind. The man we're on board with, Andenge, third on 107. Josh on 104 points. Jon Polainen and Westy, they're not too far back either, so it is really all to play for at the moment in this championship. I'm sure tonight will be some more fascinating action. If you're not familiar with the layout here at F2 or FOR, it's a 30-minute qualifying session followed by a 50% distance feature race and then a 5-lap sprint, and those sprints are always something to look out for. As we now go on board with Andenge heading towards the start-finish line now, the fastest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar in terms of average speed, even in the F2 cars, reaching 200 miles an hour before you have to hit hard on the brakes for the Rettifilo chicane. He's gone very deep there into that chicane. That is going to compromise his exit. Big Style struggling to get on the power on the medium tyres as he now heads towards Curva Grande. Long swooping right-hander, and it's a good chance to get your car positioned before going for the braking zone for the Variante Bassa chicane here. A very fast left and right-hander where we saw Sebastian Vettel spin his car around last season. The two Lesmos coming up. These were tighter than they used to be, but still an extremely fast set of corners. First Lesmo you can see being taken in fourth gear and heading down to fourth again for the second Lesmo, nearly 100 miles an hour. DRS open once again as you head downhill underneath the old Monza banking, the fearsome banking that was last used in Formula 1 in the 60s. Towards the Variante Ascari chicane, a quick left, right and a left. Got to keep getting oh so careful through here. Be careful not to take too much curb on exit because it can easily spit your car towards the barrier. Heading over towards the left hand side of the track as you come towards the Parabolica corner. Very important to spot your braking point here. Don't want to be too greedy on the apex. You just want to get a good exit as possible. Use as much track as the game will allow you to, and as you head straight towards the finish line, opening the DRS just after it, and it is a 131.7 at the moment from Andenge, quickly beaten by Josh, who has definitely been one of the form guys since he joined F2 along with Lee Findlay and Westy. He goes for a 131.288, and one of the debutants that we've got here tonight in the MP Motorsport car, Cassie G, going in second place. Other two people that are making their entrance to F2, we've got Infamous Pillars. He will be partnering Droftas in the Chiru, and Droftas has actually just gone fastest. And Silent Ace is the sole ART runner tonight. George in 5th place at the moment. He'll be pretty pleased with how he did in Belgium. Did George 8th in the feature race, got him a pole position for the sprint race, and we all saw how fiercely he defended that, trying to maximise his points. Ended up finishing in 7th place, definitely driving the widest Prema that I think Formula 2 has ever seen at last time out, but it was a fantastic performance from him to get his first points, and we'll have to see whether he can do the same again this time around. One driver who is determined for a good performance tonight is Flip Flop Fish. He really wants this championship. Feel as though he's let himself down slightly at the moment, so we'll have to see what he can do at the moment. Flip Flop Fish 8th in this qualifying session, yet to set a time. Still a long way to go, of course. 25 minutes remaining. as Josh goes faster once again with a 1:30.451. Everyone choosing the medium tyres. Choice of 2 sets of dry compounds here for the F2 cars, soft and the medium. And of course, if it does rain, there is only full wet tyres available, no intermediates, and that does tend to spice things up a bit. We'll stay on board with the Carlin car now as he heads towards the Parabolica. See what Flip-Flop Fish, the American, can do. It was fantastic earlier on the season along with Van Denge, but as some of these faster guys have come in, he slipped back ever so slightly. Did get a 3rd place in the feature race last time out. See if he can keep that form up, and he slots into 4th just in between the 2 MP Motorsport cars. He'll be pretty pleased with that for a first attempt. Seeing quite a few drivers actually trying to set second laps. Westy managed to improve on his, and Denge not so much. Hibilu has gone into 7th place as he heads into the pit lane. Paulie Orange just heading on his outlap in the dams. Won't be too impressed with how it went for him last time around. Still feels as though he could have a chance of winning this championship, but 9th and 8th only in Belgium. Only picking up 3 points has really made it a struggle for him now. Nearly 60 points off of Lee Findlay. He's got a big chance to gain on him tonight, as has Flip-Flop Fish, as has Josh. Of course, we'll have to wait and see as whether Lee Findlay rejoins the session. Maybe just getting a bit of practice in. He'll be starting from the back of the grid. We've seen Josh do extremely well multiple times starting from the back. Indeed, the Univirtuosa car had to come from the back last time around after being involved in an incident early on which broke his front wing. Recovered to get points and the fastest lap in that feature race. That put him 2nd on the grid for the sprint race. Managed to get past George very early on and then just streaked away with it. He'll be hoping for a similar performance tonight. Still, we've got 3/4 of the session remaining, and it is indeed Josh, half a second nearly faster than everyone, 4/10 ahead of Westy, who's just moved up into 2nd place on his 3rd lap. Drofdas is in 2nd at the moment. Is in 3rd, I should say. Cassidy 4th, Flip-Flop Fish 5th, Anden 6th, Jompalainen 7th, Hibilu 8th, George is 9th. We'll stay on board with Paulie Orange then for a while, see what he can do in the Dams car. No Constructors' Championship, a reminder, so the drivers, even if they are in the same car, don't really have any incentive to work together. But slipstreaming does play a big part around this circuit. As I say that, it's going to be 2 MP Motorsport cars are close together, but I think that is just one pulling out of the way of the other as they head down towards the Ascari chicane. So in F1 in 2019, how chaotic it can get if things go wrong with the slipstreaming, with many cars leaving it right until the last minute. But I think everyone will be pretty eager to get out at the moment. It looks very overcast. Maybe we might see some more rain in the race, and that would definitely spice things up, make for an ever so lively race. Did last time out anyway in Belgium with torrential rain in the early stages in that session, really making it harder for some of the drivers. We also had rain as well in F1 in Belgium on the Saturday. Yellow flags there, and indeed I think Paulie Orange just lifting off slightly for the yellow flag, so he's given up on this lap for now. He's got pillars behind him on a outlap, I believe. It's one of the MP cars just cruising back to the pits. I think Cassidy, yeah, is running out of fuel here, so doesn't want to get in the way of anyone. Should be fine. Infamous Pillars is on an outlap, but he's not taking any chances, getting well out of the way of the debutant in his first run in the Chiroux car, with his teammate currently in 3rd position. So Paulie Orange had invalidated that lap. Alan, another driver who's shown decent form on occasions here in F2. 1 podium at the moment in the sprint race at Silverstone. His best finish in the feature race was actually a 5th in Hungary. No points last time around in Belgium, with 12th and 11th place. The Arden drivers really struggling around the circuit in the Ardennes, so we'll see what Alan can do this time around. His teammate is currently 9th, 2 seconds off of the lead. A Silent Ace has gone up into 2nd position, splitting Josh and Westy. Could we see some of the debutants have a big say in this championship with a few rounds to go? Quite often in F1, debutants have had a fantastic start. Indeed, Deso got 2nd place on his debut this time around, and the week before that we saw Furhan take a victory in F1. Silent Ace at the moment second on his debut as Alan heads towards the finish line in the Arden, and that is good enough now for 6th position. He'll be very pleased with that lap. 6.5 tenths off of what Josh has managed. Infamous Pillars coming now round the final sector, round the Ascavi chicane. That inside curve is an absolute killer in Formula 1 cars. It'll be the same in these when you've got even less downforce in F1, in F2 than you have in F1. Obviously you strip as much off as possible for the Monza circuit, but that does make the Ascavi chicane, the Lesmos and the Parabolica just a bit more tricky than they would be in an F1 car. But it's really all about maximising traction out of the corners and straight line speed as Infamous Pillars slots in 10th position at the moment. One driver who I think could really do a good result for his championship after getting his first podium for a while last time out is Jon Palainen. Still only 30 points off the top, but after a lightning result in Spain where he took the victory and pole position, has not really shown anywhere near that form since. Indeed, his podium last time out in Belgium was the first time he's been on the rostrum since then. We know he's a driver that has got pace. We've seen that in the reserve appearances he made in F1 and obviously shown it on occasion here in F2. It just doesn't seem to be working consistently enough for him at the moment. Perhaps not as aggressive as some of the other drivers, and maybe his driving style just doesn't suit these F2 cars as much as it does an F1 car. Got Hibilu heading around the final corner now just to start his fast lap. Paulie Orange 9th position at the moment, heading round, and Denge not too far ahead of him. Flip Flop Fish heading around the final corner in the Carling, currently in 7th place and knows he needs a big performance, and he's found a big improvement in the first 2 sectors, so this could move him up a couple of positions, and indeed it does. He goes up into 5th position for now. Paulie Orange, he's heading around the final corner, diving into the pits, I'm sure. Infamous Pillars, can he improve on his 10th position for now? Getting very lively around the final few corners. He does move up ahead of Paulie Orange, in fact, into 9th place. Alan heads across the finish line. He was not able to improve. Let's see what Josh can do. So he comes towards the line. He dives into the pits. He wasn't improving on that lap, so doesn't see the point in putting any more life in those medium tyres. Will we see anyone go for a last-minute glory run on the softs, of course, because you do get 4 points here in F2 for pole position. It's not like F1 where qualifying just determines the grid. Oh no, there's a whole bundle of bonus points to be earned in F2. If you're not familiar with the scoring system, the feature race is the same as F1, with the only difference being you get 2 points for fastest lap, not 1. Then there's the 4 points for pole position as well. You also get 2 points for the fastest lap in the sprint race, but the winner in that only gets 15 points, and the points for the top 8 go down accordingly. And whoever finishes 8th in the feature race will get the pole position for the sprint with that reverse grid, so that can be very interesting indeed, as Westy has gone off at the Variante Bassa. Damage, missing end plate there on his MP car. Not as big of a problem around Monza because of the low downforce levels as it is at some other circuits, but still, all those bits of carbon fibre are there on this Dallara for a reason, and you do want to have as many as possible. So with 16 minutes to go, just over half the session, expect him to be diving towards the pit lane, of course. See what the man in last place can do. George just behind at the moment. Needs to find a bit of a gap to get up to Hibilu. He's just still getting used to these F2 cars. 2 tenths faster at the moment. As I said, we're very happy with how he performed in Belgium. Did fantastically with the strategy in the feature race. Didn't pit whatsoever, and that proved to be the crucial thing for a few drivers. We saw Flip Flop Fish pit when he was in a good position, tried to make his way up through the field and couldn't get his way back onto the podium. Pitting definitely left you with better tyres towards the end, as Jon Palainen, who is a man who is known for being kind to his tyres, even he ended up with a puncture, but he could still maintain a podium as George does improve his time. Unfortunately for him, not his position, stays behind Hibilu, but now the gap is just 5 thousandths of a second as Jon Palainen found a big improvement in that final sector. He'll be happier with that, moving him up into 9th place for now. You can still find time late on with laps in these F2 cars. Go on board with one of the debutants tonight. We've seen a bit of Infamous Pillars going around. Silent Ace is in the pit lane, so let's see what Cassie G, the Dane, can do at the moment. The PMP driver in the MP. keeping it nice and smooth at the moment. DRS open down to the Ascari. Is a possible overtaking manoeuvre. Perhaps not as much as the first or second chicanes on this track, the Rettifilio or the Bassa. But still, if you're brave enough, you can have a go into Ascari, particularly around the outside if you've got enough of an overlap. Cassidy not really improving at the moment, 300ths down on his personal best. So we'll have to see if he can find a bit more around the Parabolica. I said earlier on, you don't want to be too greedy, you don't want to leave it too late and compromise your exit, because you've got a long straight coming afterwards. Taking a few stabs at the wheel, shortening your line to the tightest possible, cutting over that white line as much as you dare. That is good enough to get him into second position, finding a lot of time in that final sector. He's up into second, just under 0.2 of a second behind Josh at the moment, who is going faster still. He's a 10th up on his personal best, heading into that second sector. Has had 5 wins so far in F2. Has been absolutely fantastic. 4 wins, sorry, I should say. 1 for each of the 4 rounds he has appeared in. He's had 2 in the feature races, 2 in the sprint races, but hasn't been on pole since the feature at Silverstone. Quite often he's had to miss qualifying, and by his own admissions made a few mistakes when he's had that chance. That can cost you dearly. Does seem to like streaking away at the head of the field, almost Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull style. Once he gets in the lead of the race, might not be able to do that as much around Monza with slipstreaming playing such a huge part, obviously, and the power of the DRS heading down towards turn 1. Josh, can he become the first man to get underneath 1 minute 30 in these F2 cars? He's improved through the first and the second sector, but doesn't improve too much overall on the lap. Only a 100th faster than his previous best. Still enough for pole position. He'll be hoping to find a bit more just to stay a bit more comfortable, especially if we see some of these drivers diving on to soft tyres. At the moment it's showing Andenge in the pits on the soft, so a few of these might go for it. Not the optimum strategy. Quite often you do like to start on the mediums and then work your way through the field on the soft tyres later on. If you can do it, you can find some amazing lap times. Bahrain comes to mind with Luca Giotto and Charles Leclerc doing that in the real world with some great driving on the soft tyres late in the race. Might see some of the drivers do that tonight, especially if a few more go for the softs. Flip-flop Fish is shown as being on those at the moment, as Paulie Orange runs extremely wide out of the Ascari chicane. He'll get away with that though. The track limits do seem a bit more liberal around some parts of the circuit than others, so we'll see what he can do at the moment. Paulie Orange, 11th place at the moment, our F1 championship leader, and he is heading into the pits. Not really got a clean lap, I don't think, so far, so he'll be hoping for better to come. Yellow flags in sector 2. A silent ace has retired from the session. Where is that? There it is, coming in between the first and second Lesmos. You can only imagine he's gone wide on the curb and has then dropped it. He's currently in 3rd position, but he's not going to be able to improve with 11 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this session. The sole ART driver on his debut, currently in 3rd place, but I don't be surprised to see him shuffled down the order in the final stages by a few of these drivers. The closest one to doing that is Alan. He's just gone 3 tenths faster than his personal best to put himself into 4th position for now. Was going to see how Droftas is doing. Another very consistent driver, almost to the same ilk as Jon Polainen. Always seems to be there or thereabouts. Surprisingly, F2 hasn't gone as well for him as F1 at the moment. Only the 1 podium for Droftas, getting that in the feature race at Azerbaijan. Had a decent finish in Hungary, with 4th in the sprint race being his only other top 5 this season. 10th twice in Belgium as he drifts his way out of the Ascari chicane. He'll be pretty impressed with how he's doing at the moment in 6th position. Fully admits that he may not have the outright pace as some of the other drivers, but if you want to learn how to maximise every single point out of every single race, just watch what Droftas does. He's a supremely consistent, supremely clean driver. If he's anywhere near the front, you've got to give him a chance to win, but he's not been able to improve on that lap time. He stays in 6th position for now as Westy comes up to the sector 2 line. He's 1/4 of a second up on his personal best at the moment. This could knock his teammate off the provisional front row with half with 10 minutes remaining of this session. Needs to find a bit more of an improvement to get ahead of Josh. He's getting a nice little slipstream there off one of the Chiru cars. That will be Infamous Pillars. Sure, Westy won't mind that too much as he now tries to head towards the finish line. Him and Josh are indeed good mates and teammates in other leagues, but there's no love lost between them tonight as Westy loses a bit of time actually in that final sector, only able to improve up to 4th position for now. So Josh still on pole, on board with his teammate Jon Palainen, 10th place at the moment as Habilu. He'll be very impressed with that lap time, getting himself up into 9th. Both Ardens in the top 10. Could be a good race for the Pink Panthers tonight. Jon Palainen keeping it clean through the Ascari chicane. Reminder of some of the other races we've got to come in F2. It is Sochi next Tuesday for the penultimate round, with a finale coming from the Yas Marina circuit, races 19 and 20 in a fortnight. The F1 action continues as well on Saturdays at 8:45 from this very circuit this time around. Jon Palainen does find an improvement there. He has moved up into 8th place, knocking Andenge and Habilu down a place each respectively. Cassie G in the MP. He'll be very impressed with his debut at the moment, as will Silent Ace, to be honest. They've both done well getting in the top 3. He's not improving at the moment. They're staying on these older medium tyres, not wanting to ruin a set. He'll get a nice slipstream off his teammate, and I think to get any improvement he's going to need that. Infamous Pillars just pulling out of the way there. Westy also getting out of the way. You don't want to hold up anyone around here. You could easily get yourself a penalty either on the game or in the stewards. You see Cassie G head towards the finish line. Now, is he going to be able to find an improvement? No, he is not. Lee Findlay joins the session once again. Paulie Orange finding himself down in 12th place, but he's finding a lot of time this time around. Surprise still, we've only got a quarter of the session left that no one has yet took a risk on the soft tyres. Now would be the time I'd expect them to go if they're going to try and get 1 or 2 laps on those. Perhaps in the next minute or so we will see a few more drivers heading around. As Paulie Orange comes towards the finish line, only moves him up into 11th place. Just doesn't seem to have the pace in these F2 cars at the moment. Unlike this man, Josh, his fastest time is good enough obviously for pole position. At the moment his second fastest time is also good enough because he only found 100th of a second on his last one. So see what he can do in the Univirtuosi, usually driven by Luca Giotto. Some nice advertisement there for various social media streams if you want to follow them. Takes the Parabolica nicely. See, they're trying to get on the throttle early, and the rear end just stepping out ever so slightly. It was already down, and I think any chance of a lap time improvement went there. This man is going to give us a lap time improvement though in about 3 minutes time. Droftas, first man to go on to those soft tyres. He could challenge for pole position tonight. If we don't see many more go over them, he has definitely got a chance of getting pole in the Chiru car and giving him a great opportunity to claim maybe his second podium of the season. Perhaps we could even see him take his first victory. Amazingly, since Lee Findlay, Josh and Westy joined back in Austria, they have taken the wins at every race since then. 8 races, those 3 drivers have shared them. Josh getting 4, Westy and Lee Findlay getting 2 each. Hopefully some of the drivers will be thinking that they can try and break up that triopoly. I know monopoly and duopoly are a word, because I don't see why triopoly can't be one, and if it isn't, there we go, we're going with that anyway. Flip Flop Fish has also come out on those soft tyres, so we'll stay with Droftas now. Flip Flop Fish, a reminder, second in the championship at the moment, not too far behind Lee Findlay at the moment, just 18 points, and if Lee doesn't end up racing tonight, there's definitely a good chance that Flip Flop Fish can take the championship lead, but he's not too far ahead of Josh, of course. It's looking very close between those guys in the championship, and Denge as well. There's just 24 points between the top 4, 30 points between the top 5 once you add Jon Palainen into it, so it could be all change in the championship tonight. We'll find out after the feature race and the sprint race, of course. 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. A lot more drivers taking the chance on those soft tyres. Droftas, you can see there, he's found a 10th and a half in the first sector. He's got... Oh, he's gone round actually. He's lost it. Front wing damage. That could well be game, set and match for Droftas' chances in this qualifying session. He'll have enough time to get back to the pit lane, I think, and should be able to get out again. It's just whether the team will be able to get that fixed quick enough. So he's going to have to hurry himself up. We'll see what Flip Flop Fish is doing. He's just about to start on his lap, heading now into turn 1. Josh has also gone out. Cassie G, Westy. So the top 4, those that are still remaining in this session, going out on the soft tyres, realising that these 4 points could be oh so crucial. Jompalainen and Hibilu staying in the pits, and Denge going out again on the mediums. We see him do this quite often and try and fight his way up through the field later on. This definitely a circuit where you can overtake. Flip Flop Fish just avoiding the curb there, not getting on the power too aggressively, which is what cost Droftas just a few seconds earlier. We'll check what the Sector 2 time is from the Carlin driver at the moment. Going through the gears, 5th, 6th, you can just see the speed there on the speedo. Nearly 190 mile an hour as you go under the bridge, 195 as you get to the braking zone. He's half a second up. This would be good enough for provisional pole position, but we've got many of the others going out on the soft tyres. I don't think he'll be staying there for long. Josh doesn't need to find much of an improvement on the softs, perhaps to secure pole position, and he's currently heading through the Variante Bassa chicane now. There's still 3 minutes 15 seconds to go, and it's Josh, Cassie G, Silent Ace who crashed out earlier, Westy and Alan, your top 5. Only Jompalainen in the pits on the medians at the moment, as Flip Flop Fish does find enough time. A 1:30.085, that is good enough to put him on pole position for now. Josh was faster in the first sector. I think that the game's actually... I don't think he is hitting the rev limiter, otherwise he wouldn't be going half a second up through the second sector. So Flip Flop Fish's reign at the top could be short-lived. We'll have to wait and see. Cassie G still in 3rd. Westy 5th, Alan 6th, Droftas 7th, Jompalainen going out again on the medium tyres, Infamous Pillars 9th, and Denge 10th, Hibilu 11th, Paulie Orange 12th, George in last place for now. Is Josh about to be the first man to hit a 1:29 around this Monza circuit in the Univirtuosi car as he comes towards the finish line? He does it, 1:29.617, but he must have invalidated his lap time at some point around that circuit. So not good enough this time around. He should have at least enough tyres and fuel left for one other run. We'll have to wait and see now. Cassie G, he must have made a mistake on his lap. He's not improving at all. Westy, his teammate, just ahead of him. Got George in between them. Can Westy get himself to challenge in a front row slot as he heads around the final corner now? What can he do? Comes across the line, 2nd position, 16 thousandths off of Flip Flop Fish. Josh is going faster once again. Ayla now coming towards the final corner. That car ahead, the dams of Paulie Orange not far enough ahead of him to get a slipstream benefit. Just a bit too far away. So Aylan won't be distracted by that. He's going to have to do this all using the horsepower with that Mechachrome turbocharged engine if he wants to get himself up towards the front of the grid. And he moves up into 4th position for now. Josh and Cassie G really need to get a clean lap time going here. Paulie Orange in 9th, Infamous Pillars 10th, and Denge, he's just going out for his first run on those tyres. The Bilu as well. 1 minute remaining in this session, so for most of the drivers they are now going to be on their final runs. As Josh comes around the Parabolica, he's improved again in the second sector. It's just, has he managed to keep it clean? No, he hasn't. Again, 1:29.762, only good enough for 3rd for now. He's only going to have one more run if he's got enough tyres left on his car. We'll have to wait and see. This could be a crucial 4 points when it comes to the championship going to Flip Flop Fish at the moment. This man might have something to say about it. He's just going to get around with enough time to get another lap done if this isn't good enough, but I don't think he'll have the fuel or the tyres remaining on his MP car to do that. So he's going to get a bit of a slipstream down this straight, a very faint one perhaps, from George and Flip Flop just ahead. They're still going to try and improve their time. Cassie G, what can he do on the soft tyres in the MP Motorsport car? Is this going to be pole? Flip Flop Fish improves. Cassie G doesn't. He must have invalidated his time, and that is it. The flag is out. So Flip Flop Fish, first man in the 1:29.8. Is he going to be able to improve? Josh going for it once again, trying to find some more time. Surely if he keeps it clean. We've seen that he's got the pace earlier. Alan shoots up into second place, so if that's enough time for him, we could see an Arden on the front row here. Josh down in fourth place at the moment. Droftas behind did get out in enough time, so he's down in seventh. He showed some pace early on. Can he challenge and get towards the front of the grid as Josh comes around the final corner? What time is it going to be for the Univirtuoso car? Can he find an improvement? He can. Left it late, but a 1:29.6 puts him on pole position. Droftas in fifth. Are we going to see anyone else try and set a faster time? Flip-Flop Fish has run out of fuel, I believe. Alan, he's had enough time. Infamous Pillars won't get another run. But these two MP cars are still going tooth and nail around this circuit. But West is going to be first one across the line. George is trying to find an improvement as well. So you wouldn't expect him to challenge for pole, but I'm sure he's looking to just move himself further up the grid. So what can Westy do? Can he get himself up a place? He does indeed. It's third for him. Cassie G's found some big improvements at the moment. If he keeps it clean, this could be a front row, maybe even a pole position for the debutant. As he now heads across the finish line now. I think that was good enough for second place. The game just cutting it off. No, third in the end. So he'll be happy with that on his debut. MP Motorsport looking good. But it is Josh who takes the pole position and a crucial 4 points. Flip-Flop Fish is second. Cassie G third. Westy fourth. Alan fifth. Droftas sixth. Silent Ace seventh. Didn't see the best of him after he crashed out early on. Andenge 8th, Jompalainen 9th, also setting his fastest time on the medium tyres. Paulie Orange 10th, Infamous Pillars 11th, Hibilu 12th, and George will be 13th and last of the runners starting in the sprint race, in the feature race. So we'll have to see what Josh can do. Starting from the front of the grid, tends to sprint away in the early stages as the rain is coming down around this circuit. Lee Finley is in the session. He'll be starting from the back of the grid. Have to see if the drivers went for any compromised setup in this. Will they put a bit more downforce on, knowing that the rain was coming, because the F2 cars around Monza in the wet, definitely not the easiest of things to drive. These cars very slidey in the best of conditions. Never mind when it is slightly wet out on circuit. So Josh from pole position. Got both MP cars up there. Alan, he'll be delighted with his time. Can he stay up there and get his best finish of the season? He's in fifth. Flip-Flop Fish is second. 5 lights coming on now. Then when they go out, we will be racing for the feature race here at Monza. We're underway. Everyone's seeming to get a fairly clean start at the moment as Josh has spun off already. Actually, sorry, Josh in the wall early on. That's his front wing damaged. We said these F2 cars don't have much grip, and I just spoke a bit too soon there. So Josh going to have to do this from last place. Flip-Flop Fish now in the lead. Westy and Cassie G. In fact, Cassie G nearly got clipped by his teammate who had to skip over the chicane there. And Denge has moved up into third in the early stages. That's 5 places. Seen Hibilu. He's also gone up well as well. So we've seen Flip-Flop Fish in the lead. Cassie G second. Josh, pole sitter, way down at the back of the grid. He might struggle to get any points here in this race. It's going to have to be another recovery drive from him. Westy's dropped down a lot of places as well, but it's Flip-Flop in the lead. Cassie G second and Denge in third. This is just what Flip-Flop Fish and Denge needed to try and fight their way up the order. Lee Finley didn't take part in qualifying. It's not done him any harm. He's in 7th position at the moment. He'll be absolutely loving this at the moment. Didn't think he'd be able to make tonight. Did get in the end. We'll have to see how he does for the rest of the race. 15 laps to go. No DRS will be allowed, of course, because of these wet conditions. Will the race stay wet towards the end, or will we have to see a pit stop for dry tyres? You don't have to pit at all, of course, if the race is wet all the way through. We saw that catch a few drivers out in Belgium, thinking that if they pitted, they'd be quicker towards the end, and that didn't turn out to be the case, as Lee Finley in the background, you can say, trying to move up another place past Droftas. He slots in 6th position. George has gained a place as well, and you can see Westy and Josh further down the field. I'll just check to see if Westy's actually got any damage on his car. No, it looks like, yes, he has, in fact, on his right end plate. So I think he'll be staying out just because pit stops take so long in F2. And Josh, we saw him stay out last week. So here we go. Flip Flop Fish leading at the moment. Lee Findlay passes Paulie Orange before we get to the corner. And Droftas trying to see if he can have a piece of this action as well. That is Lee Findlay from 14th on the grid, already up into 5th as someone's gone way wild over the chicane. That is Hibilu. May drop out the points after that indiscretion, and indeed he's down to 11th. That puts Pillars and Silent Ace into the points for the first time, as George and Westy are battling way down the field further back at the moment. And in fact, George is going for Hibilu now, trying to take advantage of the slow moving Arden, and just completely got his braking wrong. That might have worked in the dry, it's not going to work in the wet. In fact, George definitely gaining a few positions with that move, so we'll see if he gets a penalty for that, because I don't think some of the drivers will be too happy about that. Does he let Silent Ace by? No, he does not, but he's run wide again. That's really going to let everyone by whether he wanted to or not. We can see there, Silent Ace goes by. Westy takes advantage as George came back onto the circuit there, and Hibilu's going to try and move himself up as well. See Westy going alongside Silent Ace just ahead. Hibilu trying to put his nose down the inside of George. Gets way wide onto the AstroTurf. You don't want to be touching the throttle when you're on that. But Flip Flop Fish is touching the throttle and just getting away from everyone at the moment. 2.5 seconds his lead ahead of Cassie, and then Andenge in 3rd position. Can he get his title challenge back on track after leading it last time out? Flip Flop Fish, fastest man on circuit. He could have a perfect start to this meeting with 31 points from a pole, feature race win and a fastest lap, but still a long way to go here at Monza. Paulie Orange is just trying to stay on the back of Lee Findlay as Westy gets himself up into 10th place. Josh moving up the field as well. He's up into 12th. He could still pick up a few points actually here. The field very close together. And of course, if he can get himself as high up as 8th place, that gives him reverse grid pole position. So everything not as a loss. George, I think, has had a bit of trouble again. Really seems to be struggling in the frame of getting that traction down. He drops further back. He is now at the last and has been cast off ever so slightly. We are seeing a few penalties pop up. That could switch the order around, of course, in the latter stages. We'll keep an eye on the ones that are important towards the end. We'll try and see the penalties of the leaders in the final few laps. And Denge trying to catch up to Cassie G at the moment. That gap staying constant around about 0.8 of a second. Cassie G's lost about a second already on this lap to Flip Flop Fish. If the American keeps it clean, he could be claiming his first win for a long time since Azerbaijan, as Westy's got past Infamous Pillars. He is now up into 9th position, and Josh gets past Silent Ace into 11th. Although you can see there, Josh has just got it slightly wrong, and Silent Ace might be able to get him in the slipstream here if he just stays tucked in and gets a better exit out of the Parabolica. Josh might be finding battling through the field a bit harder than he would have wanted to. You can see just struggling with the understeer on that car because of the lack of downforce. Silent Ace doesn't seem to have enough on the rear either, as he just slides his way around the corner. Any chance he got of getting a better exit of the Parabolica just going out the window. Didn't seem to affect Josh though, the understeer, as he closed up to Infamous Pillars, who makes a bit of a move to the inside line. Has that been enough to cover Josh off? Josh moving very late on the brakes. He'll try and get the switchback out of the chicane here. Pulled that off to perfection. He's going to be alongside coming out of the corner, and you can see there he has got it done before Curva Grande. He is up into 10th position for now, because I think Droftas has made a mistake up ahead. He's dropped back a couple of places down into 8th. We see Jon Balainen having to go over the chicane. The braking really tough in these F2 cars. They've not got the downforce that they need to really provide the grip around this circuit. So Flip Flop Fish, 4.4 seconds in the lead at the moment. It's been a pretty much perfect race for him so far. So it needed a good performance here. Was hoping Lee Findlay would be absent, but with Lee Findlay in 5th place at the moment and gaining his way through the field, you wouldn't be surprised if we see the championship leader sneak his way onto the podium. Aylan's his next target in 4th, and then Andenj is just 1.5 seconds further up the road. I won't be surprised to see Westy and Josh get themselves high up the field. I think they will all make an appearance on some podium, whether it be in this feature race, which looks more likely for Lee Findlay, or in the sprint race, which is definitely what Westy and Josh will be aiming for, as Flip-Flop Fish with another fastest lap of the race. His wet tyres are holding on well, and the conditions holding up perfectly for them as well. Not getting any wetter, but doesn't seem to be getting any drier at the moment. I'd say in F1 you'd have the intermediate tyres on at the moment, but not having the intermediates in the F2, you've got to go for the wets and just try and keep them in a manageable temperature window so they're not overheating. That will just kill all the grip that you've got, and already the drivers do seem to be struggling a bit keeping it on the circuit and keeping the car pointing in the right direction, especially around this very anti-Basso. We saw a few drivers get it wrong in qualifying. Lee Findlay getting a slightly better exit there than Aylan. He's just not going to be close enough to have a go into the Lesmos. Cassie G up ahead. He's pulled away a bit from Anden, so gaps spreading out. This being the main battle out on track at the moment. And then you've got Jon Polainen and Paulie Orange behind as well for 6th and 7th. The ART getting very close to the back of the Dams car. Paulie Orange just running ever slow wide out of the second Lesmo. That could give Jon Polainen the opportunity he needs. Tucking underneath the rear wing, getting out of that slipstream, going around the outside at the Ascavi chicane. A brave move in the dry. It'll be crazy in the wet, but Paulie Orange was fair there. Jon Polainen took a bit too much speed. He's gone off the circuit. Droftas has got by. Westy's got on as well, and his teammate might just get him on the momentum here. Yeah, Jon Polainen having to run across the gravel again, so it looks as though he could be getting 6th place there. He's down in 10th, and he's got himself a 10-second penalty for his troubles, as Droftas has now managed to get past Paulie Orange. Paulie Orange really dropping back from those ahead of him at the moment. He's now in the clutches of Westy, as George is out of the session. He is retired. So we're down to just 13 runners here. That was coming out of Ascavi. We won't be able to see exactly what he's done, as none of the other cars are at that point of the circuit, but he'll be starting from the back next time around in the sprint race, as Paulie Orange getting past Droftas on the run to the Rettifilio. Bit of real banging between the two of them. The Dams just coming out ahead though, but Droftas will be able to get a better run through Curva Grande. This battling's just helping Westy and Josh catch up to them. You can see Droftas being forced the long way around. It will be for the very anti-Bassa. Paulie Orange getting on the dirt ever so slightly. That might give Droftas the chance he needs to just get enough of his car ahead. Paulie Orange is still there though. Droftas has got the exit, but he's got wheel spin on the exit of the corner there. Just about holds it, but drops behind Westy and Josh. And now it's Westy in the MP with his next chance to get ahead of Paulie Orange, who has really dropped back from those ahead. The top 5 now 8.5 seconds clear of this battle. So this may be as far up the field as Westy and Josh get. Aylan has now been passed by Lee Findlay. So the Arden moving down to 5th place, but he'll just try and stick on the back of Lee Findlay at the moment. As you can see, he's struggling with traction there through the Ascavi chicane. Has actually dropped a long way back. Yellow flag, and that is Paulie Orange facing the wrong way in the middle of Ascavi, and Westy's off as well. Has there been contact between the two of them? Has there been contact, or is that an unsafe exit a la Sebastian Vettel style? They're now out of the points, 11th and 12th, which is soon going to become 11th and 13th for Sabilo, who gets past Westy, and I think having to take evasive action there gave him an illegal overtake, so having to let Westy back pass. But Westy's comeback has been quickly scuppered, and Josh, despite making that mistake earlier on from pole position, he's got himself up into 6th position. 9 laps to go. 8.5 seconds behind Aylan. He's definitely got the pace. We'll just have to wait and see if that lack of downforce is going to affect the tyre wear. So Paulie Orange and Westy dropping down the field. That's the second time Westy's found himself having to come from way down. He is now in 12th position, so we'll have to see if he can keep it up for the rest of the race. Can he salvage some points? Can he get near the top 8 to take advantage of the reverse grid? Silent Ace and Jon Polainen swapping round. Here's the battle for 3rd and 4th place. In the early stages, it looked as though Andenj was going quicker than Cassidy out in front, but he's dropped back now 2.5 seconds behind, 9 seconds off the leader. And Lee Findlay, who started at the back, was up to 7th at the end of lap 1. He's gained 10 positions so far in this race, locking up those tyres. Easily done in the wet. Has he got the confidence to get past Andenge, taking more of that curve than perhaps the game would like it to, but getting the best possible exit out of the corner. Keeps it clean through Parabolica, and Andenge could be a bit of a sitting duck here into the first chicane. In fact, Lee Findlay just poking his nose down the inside before we get there, trying to frighten Andenge slightly, but he's a wiser man than that. Flip-flop fish again with the fastest lap of the race, streaking away at the front of the field. That gap now 6.7 seconds. As we see here, is Lee Findlay close enough to have a lunge into the Rettifilio chicane? Andenge stays to the left-hand side, doesn't really bother defending the line. Flip-flop fish moves at the last second. Andenge has got it all wrong heading into that chicane. So Lee Findlay can get more traction on the exit here. Both drivers getting wheel spin. Andenge just about holding off for now. Lee Findlay's going to have to go the long way round at the Curva Grande if he wants to stay in contact. Not able to do so. Andenge not really covering that inside line, so Lee Findlay's going to have a chance on the brake. See, he's later on the brakes. Andenge is still there. They're still going to be side by side. There's a bit of tapping between them. In the end, Lee Findlay comes away with that third place as we see Infamous Pillars come into the pits. That will drop him down to last place. And you can see how much time that battling between these two has cost them. It's allowed Alan to catch back up slightly, and they are now 4.5 seconds behind Cassie G. As we see the leader of this race driving serenely at the moment to what would be his second victory of the season, his first win in a feature race. He had a couple of second races in Austria and Britain. They've been his best results since he took the win in the sprint race in Azerbaijan, but it's Flip-Flop Fish looking good at the moment to take the 25 points here and close the gap to Lee Findlay. He's trying to minimise the damage though by getting what would be another podium. It would be his 6th in a row. He's 8th out of 9 races here at F1 F2. He's been extremely consistent as he drifts his way around the Parabolica. Won't want to do that too many times. That will wear your tyres out and definitely leave a few marks, not only on the circuit but perhaps in your trousers if you get a bit too sideways there. But he's still in 3rd place for now. Andenge trying to catch back up. Alan trying to catch up as now. We see Droftas heading into the pits. This will just be to put another set of wet tyres on. Perhaps tyre wear will be a factor here. Will we see anyone go without stopping? Droftas likely to come out in 12th position. As Hibilo in fact also pits. So Droftas will come out in 11th. That promotes Westy up into the points. Just damage limitation for him now. Currently it's still in the championship hunt. Obviously 40 points back. Who needed some good results tonight. And it looks as though he's in 10th place at the moment. Can he get himself up into the top 8 to give himself a chance to get what would be a 3rd sprint race victory for him? In fact, Belgium was the first time he didn't finish on the podium in the sprint race. The Paulie Orange his next target. Westy getting it all wrong under braking and unsurprisingly earning himself that 3-second penalty. Jon Palainen and TF Silent Ace. TF Silent not having the pace in this feature race that it looked like he had in qualifying. Same with Jon Palainen really. These both set their fastest times on the medium tyres. Perhaps wanted to ensure that they've definitely got a fresh set of sprints, of softs for the sprint race. Flip-Flop Fish going fastest. Once again, he's absolutely flying around here. 8.2 seconds now that lead with 6 laps to go. So surely all the American has to do is keep his carling pointing in vaguely the right direction and he should take all 25 points. Silent Ace trying to stay in 7th place for now. These two looking good for the front row of the grid in the sprint race. There are still a few penalties to come throughout the field that could mix things up a bit, but they've got a 7.5 seconds gap back to the battle for 9th of Paulie Orange and Westy at the moment. Droftas did come out in 11th, just ahead of his teammate, and Hibilu down in 13th, so they'll be really hoping that some of these guys feel the need to pit and get rid of their wet tyres, otherwise any chance of points is going out of the window for them. Now actually see Alan catching up to Andenge. Alan doing pretty well, started 5th at the moment. Andenge looked quick in the early stages, looked as though he was going to battle for 2nd place, just dropping back ever so slightly, perhaps not keeping those wets in as good a condition as those around him. Alan doing a good job keeping Josh at bay as well. That gap has gone down to 7 seconds at the moment, so perhaps that lack of front wing end plate beginning to affect the Univirtuosi car now, though it's still been a fantastic comeback after just getting it all wrong on the start line. If you weren't with us for the start of the race, just completely spun up his rear tyres. And that was the end, really, of any chance, as Andenja's got it wrong coming out of Ascavi, and that gives Alan every opportunity. He doesn't want to make a risky overtake. He'll just do it nice and easily in a straight line. That is the Arden up into 4th place. Andenj taking a wider line to try and get a better run through Parabolica. Doesn't look like he's got the grip on the tyres at the moment. Lee Findlay definitely has, as he now sets the fastest lap of this race. And Westy and Paulie Orange, that's a position swap there on the run down to Parabolica. That's the MP car up into 9th place. Don't think he's going to have any time to get himself up further. So it might be a difficult meeting here for both of these cars. Alan and Andenj still battling side by side. They come out of the Rettifilio chicane. This battling is going to allow Josh to catch up, so he might still be able to salvage a 4th position from this race, as Andenj is now back ahead of the Arden. Is he going to defend the left-hand side this time around? He didn't when Lee Findlay was coming, but he's got that move covered off this time. Will stay in 4th place for now. And Alan not able to get a better exit. He needs to get ahead and cleanly, I feel, if he wants to try and hang on to what would be a great 4th place in this race. Lee Findlay 2 seconds behind Cassie G at the moment. 4 and a bit laps to go. Flip Flop Fish still, just check it out here, 10 seconds. It's been a fantastic performance from the American, showing some great form and really getting that championship challenge back on track after a few, by his own standards, disappointing races. Really looked supremely quick after Azerbaijan, but since then only managed to pick up the odd podium here and there. Hungary was a particularly difficult meeting where he had pole position in both races, only coming away with an 8th in the feature and a 7th in the sprint race. But it looks as though this time he is going to convert that 2nd place on the grid to 25 points. Lee Findlay's just taken the fastest lap of him, so Lee Findlay looking good for 19 points to limit the damage done in this race. That will close the gap then to 12 points. We'll see if Lee Findlay can make the damage limitation job even more complete from the back of the grid if he can get past Cassie G in the remaining 4 laps. That gap is now 1.6 seconds. Alan and Andenj still going at it, hammer and tongs at the moment. Andenj staying ahead for now. And as these tyres begin to wear, I think it might just get a bit tougher for Alan to make the move. He might have to be a bit more creative and a bit brave. We've already seen Jon Palainen try it around the outside of the Ascavi chicane, and that just ended up with him going straight on and dropping down the field. He's recovered to 8th place. Who knows what could have been of his race if he hadn't made that mistake. We've seen Droftas have issues, Paulie Orange be off the pace, Westy's gone around twice, Josh going around at the start. So these top 5 drivers really the only ones you can say who've kept it nice and clean in this race, and they're reaping the rewards from it at the moment. Flip Flop Fish 11 seconds ahead now. Cassie G's been in 2nd ever since the start. Held off the challenge of Andenj early on. He's going to have to hold off the challenge of Lee Findlay in the final few laps. And then these drivers, the more they battle, the more it looks like Josh will be able to catch him up and maybe exact an overtake in the final couple of laps. There's going to be battles all throughout the field in the final stages of this F2 race, as Flip Flop Fish sets the fastest lap once again with a 1:40.770. The leader definitely has plenty of laps still left in his wet tyres. You can see both cars there getting on to the curb. Both getting similar exits. Alan's not going to be close enough this time around. Has Andenj managed to hold off the challenge by getting back ahead of the Arden after the Trident went off at the Ascavi chicane. 3 laps to go then for this battle for 4th and 5th. Will Josh be able to catch him up? Jon Palainen seems to be dropping back from Silent Ace, but he should be safe from Westy. We've got yellow flags as Droftas has retired. That looks like another driver that's dropped it at the exit of Ascavi, perhaps similar to what George did. We'll see from the view of his teammate exactly what he has done. And yeah, just facing there on the circuit. Can't see whether he's got any damage to the wheels, but Droftas out of this race as Cassie G's out as well. That is a big shocker out of the exit of the second Lesbo. Cassie G has dropped it into the barriers. He is out, and Denge is up into third then. Aylan fourth. Josh could still salvage a podium from this race with the pace he's catching these up at the moment. You'd have snapped your hand off of that after spinning off at the start of this race. Cassie G, though, he must be absolutely gutted. Was looking good in second place. Maybe that bit of pressure Lee Findlay was beginning to put on has forced him to push a bit hard, and on older tyres sent him into the barrier. That puts Westy up into 8th. That'll be a sprint race pole position. He'll definitely take that after what has been a difficult first race. Paulie Orange up into 9th, and Infamous Pillars will be into a points position on his first race. We've seen 2 retirements on that lap after only seeing one of George earlier on coming out of the Scarvey. So we'll have to wait and see if there'll be any more as these tyres beginning to wear. Pillars, Hibilu, Droftas spinning round on fresh tyres, and George's were fairly fresh as well. So perhaps surprising to see them losing it. The sun coming out ever so slightly. It's not going to be enough to dry the track up. We are now on lap 14 out of 15 for the leaders. Pretty much everyone on that lap now, and Aylan's still battling hard with Andenge at the moment. Still trying to make his way up through the field. Still trying to get on that podium. Josh will be fancying a bit of this action as well if these two get a bit racy and end up taking each other out, as Josh very close to the back of Aylan. In fact, I think there was a tap there on the back of his car, and that's going to drop him down. I'm just going to quickly check the penalty situation for the drivers. Flip Flop Fish, only one warning so far. Lee Findlay's kept it pretty clean as well, and Denge keeping it clean. Aylan clean. Josh has a penalty, so he needs to get ahead of these guys. Silent Ace clean. Jompalainen with that 10-second penalty. That's going to cost him big. Westy has 6 seconds. Paulie Orange with 6 seconds as well. Infamous Pillars also with 6 seconds. So Josh needs to get past these guys and get 3 seconds clear if he wants to get on the podium. And his chances of doing that just got all the more slimmer as he tapped onto the back of the Arden coming through the chicane. I don't think the move was really on. I think he was just surprised by how much Aylan is having to slow down. In fact, he's Cassie saying here that his engine blew, so maybe that is surprising in a 15-lap race, just pushing it a bit hard, and he is out, and that is so gutting from second place. No fault of his own, obviously. If the engine's gone, he will be absolutely gutted. We're on to the final lap of the race then. Flip Flop Fish is miles ahead at the moment. We've got yellow flags in sector 3. Has Westy been off circuit again? As Paulie Orange now manages to get past, so Westy will be hoping to get back quickly, because not only is it 2 points, it's reverse race pole position on the line here as he tries to make his way up through the field. But Flip Flop Fish looking clear. Who's going to take the third step of the podium though? Lee Findlay. If he can keep it pointed in the right direction. It's been a great recovery from him. We've got Andenge third, Aylan fourth, Josh in 5th, but Josh of course has them 3-second penalties, so unless there's something happens dramatically to the two ahead of him, even if he gets ahead, it will not be enough to take that podium position. Jompalainen had caught up to Silent Ace, but he's dropped a bit further back, so it looks like they'll stay in 6th and 7th place. But one man who hasn't had to worry about any traffic in this race after Josh's mistake at the start, he has just streaked away from the field. He's rounded the final corner for what will be his second victory of the season in the Carling. Flip Flop Fish takes the victory here in the feature race at Monza. Josh all over the back of Aylan for that 4th position. Doing it for pride. Obviously Aylan will try and defend, I'm sure. Maybe he knows Josh has a penalty and knows he doesn't have to bother defending. In the end, Josh not able to get the move there. Can he get a better exit out of the corner and do it on the slipstream? I don't think he's going to be able to. So these guys will finish as they cross the line. We see Andenge in 3rd place, Aylan 4th, Josh in 5th, and it's going to be Silent Ace wiggling his way towards the 6th place in his debut race. He'll be pretty pleased with that. Jompalainen in 7th, and Paulie Orange is going to be 8th across the line. He's not going to jump ahead of Paulie Orange, ahead of Jompalainen, despite the Univirtuosi car having a penalty. Yeah, we can see there, Paulie Orange 8th. Westy will be 9th, so that mistake on the penultimate lap costing Westy 2 points, and perhaps more crucially, costing him sprint race pole position. Is that his championship challenge over? Of course, anything can happen. Infamous Pillars, he's going to come home to take 10th and the final points, with Hibilo in 11th at the moment. But it's Flip Flop Fish with the victory. He will be delighted with that, and also getting the bonus points for the fastest lap. What that means is going into the sprint race, the American has closed the gap quite dramatically on Lee Findlay. It was 18 points, it is 7 points now going into the sprint race, and Denge managing to get third. I think one man will be pretty happy with his recovery, but wondering what might have been is Josh. Started on pole, spun early on, recovering to 5th place. Expect him to have a bit between his teeth in the sprint race. So the results then from race 15 of this championship. You can see there the podium. Flip Flop Fish will be delighted with that. I'm sure Lee Findlay will be happy with recovery. And Denge, still in this championship, held off the drivers behind him brilliantly to take 3rd position. Rest of the standings then. Alan in 4th, Josh 5th from pole position. Don't think he's too happy about how the car acted at the start. Droftas, he said he had a warning about a gear going to fail, so reliability seems to have been an issue for a few of these drivers, with Cassie G retiring with an engine failure. Silent Ace 6th, Jompalainen 7th, Paulie Orange, that 8th place will give him sprint race pole. Westy 9th, Infamous Pillars 10th, Hibilu 11th, and then the retirements, Cassie G with the engine failure, Droftas and George, both crashing out of Ascari. And if you thought that race was exciting, wait until you see the sprint race. 5 laps around Monza. Have to see whether it's going to be wet or dry. One thing it will be is action-packed, I can tell you that. So it will be Paulie Orange and Jompalainen on the front row, Silent Ace in 3rd. We'll see Josh 4th, Alan 5th, and Denge 6th. Lee Findlay 7th, and he made up lots of places in that race on the first lap, so don't be surprised if he's near the front again. And what is going to be beautiful sunshine, which will please many of those drivers. I think the reliability problems may have just come from having to rev the engines so hard as they wheel spin out of the corners there. And it will be last race's winner, Flip Flop Fish, starting in 8th position. Westy will be 9th, Infamous Pillars 10th, Hibilu 11th, Cassie G 12th, Droftas 13th, George 14th, and the last runner on the grid here as we just wait for the drivers to ready up. They should all be on the soft tyres, so they shouldn't have to worry about that tyre offset that sometimes affects drivers in the sprint race. We wait now for the lights to come on. Who's going to take victory here in the sprint race? We are racing. It's a better start from Josh this time. He's got a lightning start from 4th place on the grid there already, getting up ahead of Silent Ace. He's going to be alongside his teammate heading into turn 1. As we see there, Josh in the lead of this race. Jompalainen 2nd, Silent Ace 3rd, Paulie Orange dropping down to 4th, Alan 5th, Flip Flop Fish does actually drop to place as well, and Denge in 7th, Lee Findlay 6th. So Josh looks to streak away at the head of the field. He showed the pace in the dry in qualifying. Can he get a 5th win from 5 metres as Jompalainen around the outside goes Silent Ace into the chicane. Josh has already actually got a penalty for exceeding track limits. That's how hard he's pushing. And we see Silent Ace get up into 2nd place. That penalty might not matter too much with the pace Josh is showing already in the first half a lap. He's nearly 2 seconds ahead. Paulie Orange has dropped down to 5th from the start. Lee Findlay and Flip Flop Fish gaining a place each at the expense of Denge. And Westy, he's now on the back of Denge at the moment, just dropping back ever so slightly. Everyone through the first half a lap cleanly, and as they head into the first chicane, it is Josh in the lead, heading out of Ascari. Silent Ace 2nd, Jompalainen 3rd, Alan 4th, Paulie Orange 5th, Lee Findlay 6th there. You can see getting a much better exit out of the chicane than the Dams car ahead of him. Which way is he going to go? He's going to take the inside line. Paulie Orange trying to hold it off around the outside surely, but Lee Findlay will have the grit and the pace to do so. Will he get a better exit? There's nothing Paulie Orange is going to be able to do about that. And Lee Findlay takes 5th place. The best thing the Dams can do is just hook in the slipstream for now. Silent Ace getting the fastest lap, obviously because Josh got that penalty, but Josh has got a 2.6 second lead. He's already clear of that. Alan trying to go around the outside of Jompalainen and get the podium. He was 4th in the feature race. He doesn't want to be 4th in the sprint as well. Lee Findlay has managed to defend there from Paulie Orange. Cassie G getting ahead of Hibilu. Droftas getting ahead of his teammate Infamous Pillars. Because Aylan's got a much better exit out of that chicane than Jompalainen. Is he going to be forced for a long way round at the Curva Grande? He is. Can he dive down the inside? Not this time around. Jompalainen holds on to that third place for now. As we see Flip Flop Fish managing to get past Paulie Orange, who's hopped over the chicane. Aylan getting a better exit out of that chicane as well than Jompalainen. I saw some dirt kicking up and it must have been from the Univirtuosi. And he drops to fourth. Aylan up into third place. Lee Findlay all on the back of these guys as well. Can he get another podium? I've said earlier on this season that consistency is what you need in F2. You've nearly got a bit of NASCAR style bump drafting here. Don't think the front wings are designed to do that, lads, and you don't want to do it too much. Lee Findlay just settles for that 5th position for now. Paulie Orange trying to get back past Andenge. He'll have to settle for 8th place. It's not been the greatest race for him, as Westy trying to go all the way around the outside at the exit of Ascavi, getting a much better exit than Paulie Orange, and that promotes him into the points. Damage limitation job once again from Westy as he tries to keep his championship hopes alive. We now see Lee Findlay getting past Jompalainen, and DRS will be enabled next time around. Flip Flop Fish also trying to get ahead of Jompalainen as well. Josh 3.5 seconds clear at the moment, but he has 2 penalties. If he can keep it clean, he's surely got the pace to take the victory in this race as Flip Flop Fish down the inside of Jompalainen. That is a 5th place for the feature race winner now. Westy trying to get past Paulie Orange again. See Habilo and Infamous Pillars swap in place as well. Paulie Orange could find himself getting swamped by MP Motorsport cars here. That's one getting past, and there's the other. 8th to 10th at the exit of one corner. And these two want to be careful that they're not getting together. Cassie G, who knows where he could have been up near the front of this race if it wasn't for that retirement in the feature race. He settles for 9th place now. Deciding discretion is the better part of Valor there. So Josh still with a 3.3 second lead. Bit of a gap opening from Silent Ace, who has done exceptionally well, I must say, in this sprint race. We didn't see the best of him, I don't think, in the wet, or in qualifying after he made that mistake, but he is showing that he's got great pace indeed. Aylan is 3rd, Lee Findlay 4th, Flip Flop Fish 5th, Jompalainen 6th, and Denge 7th, and Westy in 8th. We are seeing a lot of penalties for a sprint race here, but Josh has got that gap ahead up to over 4 seconds now, and if he's kept it clean, this could well be the fastest lap of the race, and an ever so crucial 2 points as he tries to gain on Flip Flop Fish and Lee Findlay, who currently find themselves stuck in 4th and 5th position. There we go, fastest lap of the race from Josh. Silent Ace in 2nd, Aylan 3rd, going to have to defend shortly, I feel, from this man in 4th place, who's looking for yet another podium to make it 9 podiums out of 10 here in F2. Heads to the inside line. Is he going to be able to go late enough on the brakes? Aylan tries to hold off, but is not going to find any traction hopping over that curve, and could leave himself a sitting duck for Flip Flop Fish at the moment, who was just able to stick behind him. The 2 MP cars going side by side as well, Westy and Cassie G, and Westy having it on around the outside. Flip Flop Fish has got ahead of Aylan there. He moves into 4th place as Westy on the inside of the chicane there holds on to 8th from his teammates. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and that is Paulie Orange facing the wrong way in the barrier, and it's going to be a bit late for him to recover. So the Dams driver not having a memorable Monza weekend here. He'll want to get this out of his memory as quickly as possible, before next week's F2 round at Sochi, but also before the F1 on Saturday, where he is still in the lead of the championship. Is racing with a pad tonight, to be fair. Usually races with a wheel, but having a few problems with the wheel, I believe. So hopefully he can get them fixed for Saturday. And I must say, transferring from the wheel to the pad, especially once you've got used to the wheel, is an absolute nightmare. I'm not the greatest driver normally, but I'm certainly absolutely terrible on the controller nowadays. Droftas getting ahead of his teammate there. These 2 Chiru cars having a great ding-dong battle for 11th and 12th appropriately. Inns cars 11 and 12. We are on the final lap of the race. It is Josh in the lead as they go swapping around once again here. And Denge has just moved ahead of Jompalainen, and Cassie G and Westy still battling each other for 8th and 9th position. These cars seem almost inseparable in this race. It's only over the final point. Although we wanted to stake a big marker here, Cassie G, I've been really impressed with the pace he's shown, and with Silent Ace as well. It's just a shame for Silent Ace that he had that crash in qualifying, and for the Dane that he had that engine blow up in the last race. He's got it slightly wrong coming out of the variante Bassa. Westy, he's going to be brave enough to chuck one up the inside of the first Lesmo, giving his teammate plenty of room there, but he gets the position. And you can see Westy up into 8th position now. Flip Flop Fish closing onto the back of Lee Findlay. And I think I've seen a penalty come up on the screen for Lee Findlay. And I can't remember seeing one for Flip Flop Fish. So, championship leader could find himself dropping down a few positions here. Josh could find himself dropping down as well, because he has got at least 3 penalties. So he's going to head across the finish line to take the victory out on track. Whether it will be enough at the end, we'll have to wait and see. Josh comes across the line in first, Silent Ace in second, and in the end he did get a penalty, so he drops back. Lee Findlay drops back to 4th place, so Flip Flop Fish getting 2 podiums. He will be delighted with that. Alan 5th and Engine 6th, Jompalainen 7th, and Westy getting his teammate due to penalties, who drops back behind Hibilu, who's 9th. Cassie G then 10th, Infamous Pillars 11th, Droftas 12th, George in 13th, and Paulie Orange will be last man across the line in 14th. But your winner, 5 race meetings in a row with a victory now for Josh. He will be delighted with that recovery after the spin early on in the feature race. Great performance from Silent Ace as well to get second, and 2 podiums. Always very handy if you can do a podium in both the feature and the sprint in F2. And Flip Flop Fish has done his championship challenge. No harm here tonight with that. So here are the results then from that sprint race. You can see there, Josh with the victory. Silent Ace in 2nd position. Flip Flop Fish in 3rd. Lee Findlay, a penalty dropping him off of the podium. Alan 5th. Andenge is 6th. Jompalainen 7th. Westy 8th. Hibilu 9th, Cassie G 10th, Infamous Pillars 11th, Droftas 12th, George 13th. So Paulie Orange was the final finisher in that race. There's who had the best weekend. Flip Flop Fish getting 37 points, Josh getting 31, Lee Findlay getting 26. What that does for the championship with Andenge getting 19. Lee Findlay still in the lead now on 154 points. Flip Flop Fish has closed that gap dramatically though. He is now on 147. See Josh, he's also got ahead of Andenge now. He's on 135 points. It's getting oh so close here. See some other drivers who did well. Silent Ace, who knows where he could have been in the feature race as well. Didn't see the best of him because of that. Cassie G not getting any points. He showed some pace and he will be bitterly disappointed with that. Droftas looking good in qualifying. Also another driver coming away from this circuit pointless. They'll both be hoping for better luck next week, on the Tuesday for some more F2 action. It'll be the penultimate round of the season coming from the Sochi Autodrome in Russia. But if the faster F1 cars are more your thing and you're a big fan of the Monza circuit, then there is only one place to be this Saturday at 8:45, where myself and Jess Gamer will be taking you through the F1 action for round 14 of the F1 Championship, coming live from Monza. Make sure to check that out. Also make sure to check out our sponsors here at FOR. There's MIXT Energy for all their energy supplements. You can use the code FOR2020 to get yourself a 10% discount. Also check out Player One Coffee. There's a discount link in the description for them as well. But for myself, Luke Etheridge, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time around. Good night.